Marco, you've been involved in politics for a long time now. You were on Walsall Council, you became the mayor. Do you feel that that prepared you for the role of becoming MP for Dudley North?
Yes, it did. I actually think most MPs should actually try becoming a councillor first before they become members of parliament, because it's when you're dealing with the day-to-day things that really matter to local people that will help inform your decision making when you become a member of parliament. There's a very, very big risk of people getting involved in this bubble. You'll have heard this bubble, this blob thing that's called Westminster, and you're just voting all the time and you're becoming detached from local people. Having spent 20 years as a councillor and then the mayor for 2 years, that really involved me, got me underneath the skin of the community. I know what matters to local people, and I know there'll be an argument about whether Walsall is part of the black country or not, but actually I know that the very similar demographic, salt of the earth people there, just as much as Dudley people are, and I will always be there to fight for them.
And since you've been an MP, you've got involved on the international stage as well, a trade envoy for Brazil. How did that happen?
I don't often talk about that because ultimately I know that if I increase trade with Brazil, and trade has increased actually a lot, what will happen is that will be better for the economy. If the economy does better, it's more jobs for local people. It might be more jobs for exporters of whiskey in Scotland, but it might actually mean exports from metal bashing industries here in Dudley as well. Yeah, but yes, I do spend some time working on that, and things are going very well. Thank you for mentioning it.
And it's quite obvious that your passion is still very much with grassroots and the local community. You got involved with the Straits over the project to do some building over there.
Oh, yes.
You're often seen quite literally on the streets, looking into drains and potholes, and you've got involved with local businesses as well, Russell's Hall, for example. Is that a passion of yours still, even though you're an MP?
Absolutely. Putting people first is a mantra that I learned decades ago, and if you carry on doing that, putting people first, whether it be businesses, whether it be supporting the NHS locally, whether it be supporting local people who don't want to see development on the green belt. We all want to build more houses. I've got 2 daughters, one 20, one 22. I really worry about them being able to get onto the property ladder or even affording rent. It's so high now. But what we absolutely must do is build in the right places. And across the Black Country, we've got huge swathes of areas where industry, when it was offshored to either the Middle East or to even Europe, these places have just been left derelict because developers don't want to spend money perhaps remediating that land. And that's where Andy Street has been very, very good, turning some of these areas around, pump priming them with some extra money that he will secure from government, where it means that we can develop in the right place. And guess what? If we can develop on brownfield land like that, what happens is that you're already closer to transport hubs, you're already closer to places of work. So it's the ideal solution. It will always be brownfield first. Greenbelt for me is very precious, and it's an absolute last resort when we come to development.
And I'm sure most people are familiar with the term the MP's surgery, but perhaps this might be the first time they've actually seen one out on the streets. What was the inspiration for this?
I just think that I need to be much more in touch with people. People can come up, shake my hand, talk to me about anything they want to talk about. If it's going to be a more private matter, we can set up a separate meeting for me to see them either in my office or in a more private setting to talk about any issues they may have. So do please come along today as well. I'm here till 12 o'clock and I'll be repeating this, but not only here in the town centre. I'll be going to Sedgehill, I'll be going to Gornal, I'll be going to all sorts of other places across the constituency doing this. People saw a lot less of MPs in the wake of that fatal stabbing of that Member of Parliament. I now do have some security around as well. That helps me with that. And when COVID happened as well, that meant there was an even bigger disconnect between their local elected politician as the Member of Parliament and people. So I want to reverse that now. I want to make sure people can see I'm very accessible.
And we are at the heart of the constituency here in Dudley, in the marketplace. How's it been going? Because this is the second of 2 days.
It's been going really, really well. People are really nice to meet you, Marco, and thanks for helping us with this. And I've got this other problem, can you help us with that? And today, as it happens, as they have every Friday, we've got some government-funded health screening that goes on as well. So I'm going to tell them, you should give me more details so I can actually promote it on my own social media, because if people don't know that this is happening, then they won't be coming out to use it. So yes, very pleased this is happening as well. People can get a COVID booster jab if they want. They don't have to have it if they don't want to. But certainly for the over 75s or the immunosuppressed, because maybe they might be having cancer treatment or something like that, it'd be a good idea to actually have a booster jab against COVID, because we all know that virus can do nasty things to us.
And finally, Marco, we all know that there is an election, a general election on the horizon. What would you say to the good people of Dudley North that when they go into that polling booth, put your X next to the Conservatives?
Well, absolutely, I would want people to vote for me. Of course, which politician wouldn't want to carry on being their elected member of Parliament? I'd like to think that when they see the work that I've done here in Dudley and how much I care about local people, that they feel they're able to support me as Marco, as the person, as much as the Conservative Party that did its very best. It's made its mistakes as well. You know, people will do postgraduate studies in how we could have treated people differently through COVID and lockdowns and all of that kind of thing. But that's hindsight, isn't it? Hindsight's a wonderful thing. We learn from our mistakes, we move on, and when they're in that polling booth, they just need to be really, really careful thinking about what the alternative might be. People know locally I stand very much for what local people want. They know that they absolutely detest what's happening with illegal immigration. I've been very vocal about that in the chamber, and I'm going to carry on banging that drum until it's finally sorted. People will be very clear about my stance on that, on several other issues. So all I can say is Marco makes it happen, and I'm going to carry on doing it for the good people of Dudley.